Utah Jazz give the Pelicans a big fight to the end, but the Pelicans able to end the Utah Jazz 3-game win streak. And the Jazz finished the road trip 3-2 on the year. What happened and why? Coming up next here on POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
David Locke along with Ron Boone with you as the Utah Jazz fall tonight in the loss to the New Orleans Pelicans. And Ron, Jazz really, they play hard. They did a lot of things really, really well tonight. They were just a little looser with the basketball than I think we've seen them in a little while. There's probably, when you go back and watch film, there's more possessions tonight that I think the Jazz probably regret that they didn't play as well as they could. There's a late game play in which that gets reviewed where Jordan throws an outlet to Lauri kind of automatically. There's a few passes across up. Frankly, the Pelicans didn't take a great deal of advantage of those. They had 10 steals. I think they only had 4 points off those, 4 or 5 points, but they are wasted possessions by the Jazz in a night where just 1 or 2 possessions on the road really mattered.
Yeah, and the energy level I don't think was as high as we've seen throughout this winning streak that the Jazz had. I thought at a crucial time during the ball game that the Jazz had a chance to take the lead. Now goes back to when it's like 46-47, and the Jazz had a chance to take the lead and missed the free throw. Collins missed the free throw, missed the technical free throw, and then the Pelicans went off on a 6-7 span there to outscore the Jazz, and just thought the momentum was starting to pick up at that time, and those few possessions there kind of took them out of it. 2
huge plays tonight are Trey Murphy hits 2 monster threes.
Yes.
One of them a weird play underneath the basket. The ball's underneath. I'll have to go back and watch a replay. Squirts out of the hands of, like, Walker's reaching down. I don't know if anybody had a hand on it, just squirted out, literally like as though it was shot like a pool cue or something of that sort. And Trey Murphy gets it and hits a 3, and then obviously late Zion dishes it out to Murphy and hits the 3. Those 2 were the backbreaker offensive plays of the night, probably.
And they outscored the Jazz in that fourth quarter, 31-29. Even with that, again, those are some big threes that they made, and the offense was ran through Ingram and Zion Williamson, late in the ball game with the pick and roll there, just creating mismatches, and you just knew once Zion got the basketball, he's going to drive to the basket.
From the offense tonight starts brilliantly. They shoot 14 of 22 in the first. They have a 137 offensive rating, but they only make 13 of their next 43 shots in the second or third quarters. What goes off offensively?
Boy, it's I don't know. You have to watch film sometimes and figure out, why certain things happen out there on the floor. Substitution sometimes just kills chemistry. It kills momentum, and it just that's why coaches have gray hair, because they just can't understand it sometimes.
I've talked a lot this week on Locked On Jazz about Will Hardy's got a really hard job right now in the sense he's got 12 viable NBA players who deserve rotation minutes, and you can't play 12 guys. He's changing things up every night, which has become his signature. It's contrasting to like Jerry Sloan, who believed you always want every single one of the players to know exactly what their role is and exactly how to play. The offense didn't have a rhythm night. Is this the risk that Will plays by doing what he probably has no choice but to do? So I'm not sure he has another choice. But kind of by one night we're just starting a different lineup and we're playing different guys in different minutes. That the risk here is that you lose some continuity and you lose some consistency in that.
Yeah, the luxury you have is you have guys that can fill in. The downside of that is when everyone's healthy, then how do you master the minutes to the point where guys are getting enough playing time to be effective out there on the floor? That's what makes it really, really tough. When guys are hurt, it's a little bit easier because you know what you have, and I can't do this because this guy's out. But once everyone's healthy, now you're trying to figure out who's playing well and who plays well with who, and so it's a luxury to have that many players that are talented enough, but then the downside of that is that once everyone's healthy, what do you do?
And I don't know if this is that simple, but Jordan Clarkson, one who looked most bothered by turnovers early in passes and not having space. Now, New Orleans is long, right? They start Brandon Ingram at 6'9", Zion, Jonas Valanciunas, Herb Jones is 6'8", so they start a big, long team. But we also started John Collins and Walker Kessler again together. That lineup has not worked. It's been a real problem for us offensively. It's been a real problem with turnovers. And And it's interesting because it should work because John Collins has shot 40% from three, but they just don't follow John Collins out to that three, and they don't follow Walker out. And so it gets clogged. Do you think the 5 or 6 turnovers by Jordan Clarkson tonight and 3 turnovers by Lauri are all related to some of the guys they were playing with differently than usual?
Well, I thought Jordan's turnovers were probably dribbling just a little bit too much in traffic and going. Sometimes he gets going so fast and he outruns the basketball, or he moves and leaves the basketball at a certain point. He's got to come back and get it. I thought he had a few of those. I think one thing Will was looking at with this with the lineup he put out there on the floor. Don't forget the Jazz beat the Pelicans twice in Salt Lake City with that lineup, and so and that was without Lauri Markkanen playing in either one of those ball games. So I think you go back, you watch film, you like what you see, and so you go back to that.
I'm just curious your thoughts on the Pelicans. They have seemingly so much talent. They had some funky lineups on the floor tonight. They obviously, Trey Murphy changes who they are. He's back. This was their first game healthy all night. Larry Nance might change them as much as anything else. He was really good tonight. He had 16 plus 16. He had 5 steals. And he's back in the lineup for the first time. Means they don't have to play Valanciunas and they can go a little smaller and more active defensively. What's your thought on them?
I think the team has a ton of talent. And I know you had mentioned that you thought Willie Green was a defensive-minded coach. I don't see what they're doing out there defensively that makes them to the point where they're so effective defensively. And maybe Zion has a lot to do with that, where to put him, how to put him, and how to use him out there on the floor. But it seems to be a team that they can score on. Now, did they clog the middle?
They're actually the 9th best team in the league defensively.
Where?
I know.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but statistically they're the 11th best half-court defense in the league and the 9th best overall defense in the league.
So if that's the case, then what I saw was the fact that they do clog the middle. And to the point where how many lanes did the Jazz have to get to the basket tonight? That was not there. So that means they're forcing teams to shoot threes and forcing teams to make threes in order to beat them. And obviously, that's happening because their record coming into tonight's game is probably not as good as you see the talent on this basketball team.
Lauri Markkanen, Lacey has pointed out, has had an assist taken away from him. So he no longer had a career high 6 assists tonight. He has a season high 5 assists, 24 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. We've now seen Lauri with multiple assist games. He had a stretch right before he got hurt where he had 7 straight games without an assist. Like, it's hard to do. He is now moving the basketball much more and making plays. This is a major step for him if he can create 4 or 5 buckets for teammates.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with, is he capable of passing off the dribble? Because he puts the ball on the floor. Sometimes he's going to the basket. And, guys that good, you expect for them when they get in the paint to have some kind of game to the point where they can shoot over the top of the defense, score in some kind of way. But there's also, like we saw tonight with the way they clog the middle, is, being able to pass off the dribble at that size would be a huge advantage for him.
So the Jazz fall tonight. The winning streak comes to an end. The Jazz have a interesting schedule coming up here. They play somewhat of a murderer's row of teams here in the next stretch, other than the Detroit Pistons. The next stretch, the Jazz play the Miami Heat.
Dallas.
And here we will run through some records here for you of what the Jazz have coming up here because it is real. The Jazz play the Miami Heat, who are 18-12. They then play the Dallas Mavericks, who are 18-13. They then play the Detroit Pistons, who are 2-29. We then go to Boston to face the 24-6 Celtics before going to Philadelphia to play the 21-9 76ers, and then play the Bucks, who are 23-8. Woo!
That's a tough swing.
The Jazz have made a lot of progress, and they are a lot better than they were when we headed to Portland after losing the Lakers by 30 and losing to the Blazers. But we're about to find out where they rank against the best of the best in the NBA, because this is going to be quite a stretch. All right, Ron Boone.
This is awfully tough tonight. You can just your leading scorers is Markkanen
and Sexton.
Collin Sexton.
Is it that easy?
It's. I don't see where else I can go.
I agree.
And then a lot of times I like to look at quarters and who made a big difference in a quarter to help the Jazz put them in the league or whatever. There was nothing to that effect
Right.
here tonight.
The
So we
benches-
have to
the
go with
bench all had
the leading,
negatives.
the leading scores. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So that leaves us Collin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen. Not a lot of debate there. That is Postcast tonight. Thanks very much. On behalf of Ron, I'm David. Hope you're having a very happy holidays. Saturday, tickets are still available. Holiday packs are still available at UtahJazz.com. Go get those.
3 o'clock start.
3 o'clock start. We're excited to have you so I could ski 9 to 11. Actually, with the amount of snow we have right now, 9 to 11 might just be fine.
Is there snow up there?
No.
Hmm.
And none in the forecast. It's the first time you've ever heard me not complain about travel. See ya. Have a good one. Talk to you later. We now send you over to the first ever 24/7 YouTube national sports channel. It's Locked On Sports Today. Check it out.